Hello everybody. Today we'll discuss physiology of limbic system. As per the MCI competency PWA 10.7, describe and discuss functions of limbic system and their abnormalities. So objectives of today's talk is to learn function anatomy of limbic system, overall functions of limbic system, specific functions of different parts of limbic system, overall effect of limbic system on human body, and finally disorders of limbic system. So let's start with the word limbic means border. So it is basically the border of cerebral cortex. That area altogether is called as a limbic system. Different nuclei collectively are called as limbic system. So limbic system has been expanded to mean the entire neuronal circuitry that controls emotional behavior and motivational drives. So it's basically emotional center of brain. So here you can see in this diagram anatomically we have taken a lateral section. You can see this part which is appearing here, which is at the border of cortex, is labeled as limbic system. So this is the limbic cortex or limbic lobe. Remaining all which you are observing here, all this anatomically structures, they are all together called as parts of limbic system. So based on the location, it is called as limbic system. So we'll just enumerate different parts anatomically. So limbic lobe, as I mentioned, the limbic cortex is called as a limbic lobe, which is at the border of cerebral cortex. Cingulate gyrus, parahippocampal gyrus, hippocampus, which is a very important center for memory, dentate gyrus, amygdala, which is almond shape as the name is given, septal nuclei, mammillary bodies, anterior nucleus and medial nucleus of thalamus, olfactory bulbs. So limbic system, also called as emotional brain, it plays a primary role in range of emotions including pain, pleasure, docility, affection and anger. Whenever a sensory stimulus comes across the human being, so it is always attached with some emotions which are either positive or negative. We may get a pleasure because of that sensation, we may get disturbed because of this one. So either of that emotional aspect is being taken care by the limbic system. So it also is involved in olfaction, that is smell and memory. That's why it is also called as rhyncephalon. So old terminology given to limbic system is rhyncephalon. Now we'll just see the philosophy of emotion. Basically, emotion have got mental and physical component. Whenever we say I'm emotional now, so both component will come in that one. A mental aspect is there as well as a physical aspect. First stage in the emotion is cognition, that is awareness of sensation. For example, if I'm exposed to any surprise is given to me, which may be good for me or bad for me. For example, I see some dangerous things. Suppose we are going on a trekking, suddenly I see a lion. We hear a roar of a lion. So first step is the cognition, awareness of the sensation. Yes, lion is roaring, or we see the lion. So we are aware that this is the danger thing is coming around me. So the affect feeling itself. So we get fear. Fear factor comes. When the moment we hear a lion roaring in the jungle or a forest when we are on the trekking, so after making aware that it is a lion, so fear comes in the mind. Then starts the cognition, urge to take the action. And obviously, as if you are hearing roar of a lion or you are seeing a lion, the action will be definitely running away from the situation. In other things, suppose we are going for some hunting, that hunter may start an action moment. He sees a deer, so he may start running towards the chase. So cognition, that is urge to take action. And last one, that is a physical change. So inside the body, physiologically, there is change in the blood pressure, heart rate, respiratory rate. That is nothing but a fight or flight reaction in the body. Either we flight, for example, if I see a roar of if I hear a roar of a lion or I see a lion, the action will be running away from that one. So body gets prepared physically for that one. Or if hunter is there, he will try for the fight. So these are the 4 steps of emotion: cognition, affect, cognition, and physical change. So the hypothalamus and limbic system closely associated with emotional expression and genesis of emotions. Now this is the location of different nuclei of limbic system. Function schematically we have shown. You can see the center point is basically the hypothalamus. So hypothalamus got a key position in limbic system. It is having so many vegetative functions. Apart from that, you can see cingulate gyrus, subcallosal gyrus, orbitofrontal cortex, uncus, parahippocampal gyrus, amygdala, hippocampus. So these are the different nuclei. Even the part of the basal ganglion is also involved in the part of a limbic system. That's why the patients with basal ganglion lesion have got emotional disturbances also. So these are the functionally different regions of limbic system. Now this functional connection given by James PAPEZ, which is called as a PAPEZ circuit. Connections with cingulate gyrus connected anatomically with hippocampus, mammillary body, and internucleus of thalamus. So these are our current theories available. Maybe in the future we may have some good answer to the limbic system. Still we are not clear about the mechanism of emotions and the role of cortex in the emotion. So these are the circuit given theories proposed by James PAPEZ regarding the functional connections between cerebral cortex and limbic system, different structures. Now let's start with overall functions of limbic system. First, that is the affect, that is the emotional aspect of a sensation. Memory, because always the emotions are attached with the memory. Learning, there is a motivation for learning. We'll see the different parts. Emotional exteriorization, preservation of self, and preservation of species. So these are the 6 gross functions claimed to be done by the limbic system. There is no clear-cut demarcation which part of the limbic system will do what, but still some proposed theories by different researchers or experimenters have found that there are specific functions, for example, memory with certain part of limbic system, preservation of self by a certain part of limbic system. Now let's see how the distribution is there. A major part of limbic system is basically the hypothalamus. It controls the body temperature, osmolality of body fluid, drives to eat and drink, and to control the body weight. So these are the basically all vegetative function, that is for survival of self. So for survival of self, you need to eat, you need to drink. So that drive is again coming from a limbic system. So these internal functions are collectively called vegetative functions of brain, and their control is closely related to behavior. That's why you will see in case of the depression, there is a loss of weight, loss of urge to eat. So the hypothalamus plays a role in the preservation of self by controlling these vegetative functions of a human body, so that this behavior will help the survival of self. Apart from this, certain nuclei of hypothalamus has got additional functions. For example, lateral hypothalamus stimulation experimentally have shown that the animal gets in rage and fighting. Then ventromedial nucleus of hypothalamus stimulation leads to a sense of satiety, decreased eating, and tranquility. Periventricular nuclear stimulation leads to fear and punishment reaction. Sexual drive can be stimulated from several areas of hypothalamus, especially the most anterior and most posterior position. So these are basically for preservation of species. So sexual drive stimulation, that is, it has both part for preservation of self, self-satisfaction, emotional exteriorization of a self, plus a preservation of species. Sex drive leads to sex between individuals, and generation starts. So that is the preservation of a cell species. So these are the different nuclei of hypothalamus which are having different emotional aspect, positive as well as negative emotions attached in this one. Apart from that, very important aspect in the learning is basically reward and punishment. So several limbic structures are particularly concerned with affective nature of sensory sensation, that is, whether the sensations are pleasant or unpleasant. Simply you can observe a small baby is there who is trying to stand and trying to walk. We are always giving him some incentive. Come on, take this toy. Come on, take this chocolate. In that he starts coming and walking and it's trembling, he take the chocolate. Second time again. So this is the reward which promotes the child to stand and walk and get that chocolate. So that is a reward, promotes the learning process. Vice versa, similarly, suppose a baby is going towards an object, suddenly it touches and takes the hand back, so it was hot object, so it gets pain. So again that is a sort of punishment for him, so he learns that now next time I should not touch such objects because they are giving us pain. So reward and punishment plays a very important role in the learning. So qualities are also called reward or punishment or satisfaction or aversion. So major reward centers have been found to be located along the course of medial forebrain bundle, especially in the lateral and ventromedial nuclei of hypothalamus. So this reward and punishment is very, very important for our learning process in the life. So areas for punishment and escape tendencies have been found in central gray area. Reward and punishment centers undoubtedly constitute one of the most important of all controller of our body activities, our drives, our aversion or our motivation. So this is the importance of reward and punishment in the learning and memory. So habituation versus reinforcement. So always if you are rewarding for some good act, learning takes place. And also if you are punishing for a wrong act, that is also a learning. I should not go in that area once more. And that goes in the memory now. Okay, this good thing is attached to a reward, this bad thing is attached to a punishment. So that is again a memory. So this again are important functions of limbic system. Apart from this, specific functions of other part of limbic system, for example, the hippocampus plays important role in memory. So it helps in the storage of the information which has been done. So anterograde amnesia after bilateral removal of hippocampi. Amygdala is believed to make the person's behavior response appropriate for each occasion. So it makes sensibility of the individual. That's why in damage of amygdala, sensibility goes off. We'll see and the disorders of limbic system. Apart from this, the limbic lobe or limbic cortex, which is the key connectivity between cerebral cortex and different part of limbic system. So it functions as a transitional zone through which signals are transmitted from the remainder of brain cortex into limbic system and also in opposite direction. In both direction it goes. So therefore, limbic cortex in effect functions as cerebral association area for control of behavior. So it is a connectivity between cerebral cortex and different part of the limbic system. So that is the role of limbic cortex. So now just we'll see overall effect of limbic system on human body. So limbic system is major part in that is the hypothalamus, which controls the autonomic nervous system of our human body. Now the cerebral cortex, which is our conscious mind from where we are thinking for any actions, controlling whole body. So whole body control is coming from cerebral cortex. If you recall the physiology of cerebral cortex, we are having sensory cortex, motor cortex, premotor area, and then we have seen the different descending tracks. So all these is voluntary control of human body is there. But limbic system is basically a subconscious mind. There are strong connections from limbic system to cortex, and there is evidence that control of limbic system on cortex, once stimulation, it takes long time to stop. We can observe our emotions once start, they doesn't stop suddenly. So there is a strong control of limbic system on the cortex, but vice versa, the control is very weak. The control of cortex on limbic system is quite weak. Now, as we know that hypothalamus has got so many vegetative functions, they are controlling our autonomic nervous system. It has got two important branches, sympathetic and parasympathetic. Both are functioning exactly opposite to each other. So autonomic nervous system is controlling our visceral organs of the body. Stimulation of sympathetic leads to increase in heart rate, increase in blood pressure, and increase in blood sugar level. On the contrary, reverse parasympathetic stimulation leads to decrease in heart rate, decrease in blood pressure, decrease in blood sugar. So there is a delicate balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic system to control human body. Now the hypothalamus, which is under control from limbic system. Now the limbic system, which is an emotional brain, has got different emotions. This is the red, that is rage, anger, grief, fear. So all these negative emotions will lead to stimulation of hypothalamus, leading to fight and flight reactions of the body. That is, they will prepare the body either to the fight or flight, leading to increase in blood pressure, increase in heart rate, increase in this. But if this goes on a period of time, if the person is under stress continuously, or grief, or a fear, or is very angry repeatedly, that is stress, that will lead to constant stimulation of sympathetic system, leading to psychosomatic disorders like psychiatric disorders, decrease in immunity, hypertension, diabetes mellitus. So this is the result of all negative emotions which are over a period of time, ulcers. On the contrary, the limbic system, which has got a positive emotions like reward, happiness, peace, and pleasure. So if you stimulate them by behavioral change or counseling, this will lead to health and mental well-being. So the limbic system has got this different emotions. So now it is up to us which should dominate in our human body. So Nauta stated, neocortex sits astride the limbic system like a rider on a horse without a rein. So this is the cortex, this is our limbic system. So cortex is a rider, limbic system is a horse without a rein. So who will dominate now? The horse will dominate. That means limbic system will dominate. So if you don't control our emotions will take away, and in the emotional drive, if repeatedly anger, fear, grief, depression, if it starts dominating repeatedly, that can lead to psychosomatic disorder. Now, how to control the horse is simple: to get a rein. Now, this rein is very weak. Now it is up to us to make this rein strong. So here comes role of our meditation. By giving proper time, counseling, and by our reflection narratives. If you start writing your reflections, what events has happened in my last week, when I got stress, when I got anger, when I was in fear, start writing down this event, note them, what thing are stressing me, how I can control the stress, how I can stop my anger, how I can prevent the anger, how I can be happy in this situation, because situations are going to be same. But despite presence of situations, if I start modifying our lifestyle, our thinking, our way of thinking, this can alter our control. So here role of meditation comes. We have to give some time to control our emotions. Then over a period of time, by converting the grief, anger, fear into happiness, pleasure, and reward, we can have a mental and social well-being. So we can make this strong by meditation. Now the disorders, as I mentioned, first will be psychosomatic illnesses, which is usually because of the psychological responses of the body and convert it to somatic, rising blood pressure, hypertension, diabetes mellitus, and mental disturbances. But apart from that, there can be organic damage to different parts of brain also. So for example, Korsakoff psychosis is commonly due to lesions in mammillary body and medial dorsal nucleus of thalamus. This can be because of any trauma or a tumor or because of infarction or any external lesion. So it leads to confusion, confabulation, and memory deficit. Similarly, there is syndrome called as Kluwer-Bucky syndrome, which is again organic disorder by bilateral ablation of amygdala. So if amygdala is damaged because of any tumor invasion or because of any infarction or embolism, a person can go in this Kluwer-Bucky syndrome. Common feature is the patient is not afraid of anything, has extreme curiosity about everything, and extreme sexual desires is there. So forgets rapidly. So these are some of the organic disorders, but most common is psychosomatic illnesses. Apart from that, a list is big one, but to summarize in brief the lesions of limbic system, these are the three common: somatic, psychosomatic illnesses, Korsakoff psychosis, and Kluwer-Bucky syndrome. So here we conclude our brief talk on limbic system. This topic is huge, sky is the limit, because emotions I don't have a containment to that one, but just to have a brief idea what are the different emotions, what are the different nuclei involved in that one, how the limbic system controls our human body, and how the positive and negative our emotions has got impact on human functions. So here we summarize, we have learned today functional anatomy of limbic system. We have seen overall functions of limbic system, that is, it is having functions on affect, that is emotion, then on learning, on memory, on emotional exteriorization, preservation of self, and preservation of species. Then we have learned specific functions of different parts of limbic system. For example, some are involved in memory, some are involved in learning, some are involved in grief, fear, rage. Some nuclei are involved in the reward, some are in the punishment. So, and we have seen overall effect of limbic system on human body, how the positive and negative emotions can have impact on our physical health. So that's why we should always promote our positive emotions. We should be in happiness, peace, pleasure. We should always try to subside the negative emotions like rage, fear, anger, which are nothing but damaging our own body only. Lastly, we have seen disorders of limbic system. So here we conclude physiology of limbic system. Thank you.